And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me I have my good brother here in the temple, our resident sky pirate, who had probably one of the more interesting character sheets set up when he didn't have an avatar like me. Good brother Sizer.
Ahoy, Navas, Mildra. What?
Remember those character sheets that the guy behind the Berserk RPG did?
Oh yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about something else that I was unaware of. No, that was a fun little gift that we got there.
Mm-hmm.
I still will look back on that look back on that fondly.
Mm-hmm. But we are back with a brand new season, and usually with these seasons, I try to approach either you, Joe, or anyone else who we work with about what genre to delve into. But I kind of already answered that when we did Night last week, which that was mainly because I was in kind of in between two ends of a pendulum. Because as I mentioned last week, there were some games that certainly fit, but I didn't think they didn't have enough of a page count to justify a full season.
Yeah, no, totally fair.
Which is why I just did it as a one shot instead. Oh.
I do not feel cheated, no matter what I said behind your back. Wait, no, I didn't say anything. I'm sorry. No, we're good. But I know you've been looking forward to this one.
Mm-hmm. So, I decided I was going to do a bit of indulgence and also further the whole thing of the monastery being full of fucking filthy weebs with this entry. Plus, I had gotten a semi-advanced copy of this because apparently some people think I'm hot shit. So,
okay.
Expect a
got a little in there with Altor Saurian Games, eh?
Well, I interviewed Cody a few months ago.
Cool.
And
I'm not jealous.
But originally I was going to do this as a review, but I didn't like the script that I had, and it kept getting pushed back. Then writer's block happened. But I figured doing it in this format is going to be more our speed, especially since, in my opinion, the setting of Shadowscar is carrying a lot of the load.
Absolutely, and I think we can already see like a little bit of what we're getting into just from looking at this cover.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of an assassin ninja person leaping down with a glowing sword towards a raging Oni carrying or maybe an ogre carrying a huge spiked club.
Nope, that is an Oni.
Okay.
The sales pitch for Shadowscar can be best described as interdimensional ninjas versus yokai.
Okay.
Because, well, Cody is much like the rest of the family, a damn weeb.
Now, not to be a little pedantic, maybe it's a slight bit pedantic. Wouldn't you say an ogre is also a yokai?
Yes, but in this case, it is blatantly a Oni.
Okay. I'll let it go.
No, the club and all, that is the titular weapon of a lot of Oni.
Okay.
But
I just think ogres are in this season because there's that one anime about the ogre's bride that just came out.
Mm-hmm.
So,
At least
anyway,
you weren't making a Shrek joke, so I appreciate your restraint. But
Anything for you, bud.
obviously, this game it runs at about 292 pages, and it is properly bookmarked. And for this episode, we're going to be covering the introduction and character chapters. But in addition to being bookmarked, I also appreciate that that its table of contents is hyperlinked. And let me jump to the back for a second. We do have an index. And much like with Cyberpunk Red, there is monthly free LC that's come out for the book.
Yep. It also seems to have accessible text for the illustrations.
Oh yeah. Now there are some parts that we're probably going to be skimming, but not as many as one might think. Now let me make one little adjustment so that the 2-page spreads have the appearance that they need to.
Yeah.
Because just looking at the Chapter 1 entry, like how the hell could I split that off? That is, a lot of the art here is done by Bad Moon Art Studio, and I appreciate that they're the main artist here because it allows everything to have a consistent voice.
Cool.
There's nothing wrong with games that have multiple artists, but when you have multiple artists, you run the risk of too many cooks in the kitchen, or it not feeling as unified as it should.
Indeed. Can I do a little pitch real quick? Is that cool? Something
go right
like that
ahead.
coming up.
Yeah, go right ahead.
In September episode of Round the Table, we're going to be talking about art direction specifically. Got some interesting guests lined up for that. I'm not going to say anything yet about who they might be, but check out the Skies of Fortune YouTube if you want to have a look at that later on.
Now, after the very nice setup with the introduction, which every chapter is going to be doing that 2-page spread. In fact, there's like I said, the art and the setting are doing a lot of heavy lifting for this.
Oh yeah.
Now, some of this I read when Zan and I covered the quick start Eyes in the Darkness. But it is something that can be revisited. First off, the Welcome to the Agency part, which I do like that the Tengu we have here is the point of perspective for this primer throughout this early chapter.
Oh, hold on one second, Monk. I think you're. Let me refresh Twitch, but it looked like it paused for me. Sorry. Is it working for you? Just want to make sure that it's probably me.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind then. Please continue. Oh, the Tengu. Yeah, welcome to the agency. Here we go.
Yep, saying, you look a hair lost. Perhaps you're wondering what you've gotten yourself into. To have stepped out of your reality into something so unfamiliar, confronted by a being of such luster as myself, and unsure of your place in this wider world you never could have imagined. Luckily, Director Yamana has sent me, the great Daitengu Fugembo, weaver of lost tales, to enlighten you, to raise you from the depths of ignorance high into the peaks of understanding. So let us begin, shall we?
I think I fought that guy in Neo 3, but he wasn't wearing that nice green, suit and cravat.
Yeah, I don't know why, but when I see the speech pattern, I keep thinking of a kabuki actor. That might be intentional.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because if you've seen what kabuki actors look like, subtle is not a word to describe them.
No, it is not.
If you want subtlety in Japanese theater, no is over that way. Oh. As well as puppet theater
is for those for whom subtlety is cowardice.
Yeah, I did at one point draw parallels between a wrestling show and a kabuki play. But he then goes into a quick primer. This is where we are introduced to the concept of the Shadow Scar Agency. The Mosaic, basically the term used for the interdimensional nexus that is the setting.
Okay.
And of course, starting with the Tale of Death, which a lot of this is covering one of the universes, Nagatsukuni, and the journey of Izanagi and the return of Izanami. A lot of this is very much in keeping with Izanagi and Izanami in Shinto mythologies. As well as both of them being the primordial man and woman in Shintoism, and Izanami being tainted by Yomi.
Yes. You may have encountered some of this if you've ever played Okami.
Mm-hmm. If you played Okami or just been around anime enough.
Or you're just a filthy weeb like the ones in the monastery.
Mm-hmm. But eventually Izanami was banished after trying to come back with an army of yokai. The battle between the two wrecked a lot of their world after they were fighting for about 100 years. But eventually
Okay, I'm gonna put back on my... No, go ahead.
You have essentially a secret war going on between the yokai and the successors of Izanagi's crusade, that being the Shadow Scar Agency. Although I do like that they hint at a war against American President Woodrow Wilson and the United States Bureau of Investigation, which was probably a case of we're here to help, and that being misinterpreted. But after that we have a thing on Welcome to Shadow Scar. Basically, what kind of game this is. In this TTRPG, you'll take on the role of an agent in the Shadow Scar Agency, the Mosaic's premier and only paramilitary fighting force. Agents of Shadow Scar are warriors in the Veil War, waging a hidden war against yokai, monstrous creatures from Japanese myth and legend across 4 different worlds. Through their missions, agents ensure the safety of their homelands, protect other worlds from corruption and chaos, and help uncover the mystery of the apocalyptic force known as Yomi. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we jump into who your character is, what they can do, why they're fighting, and who they're fighting, let's go over some basics. And they say if you just want to go to building your character, page 20. You can always come back and read this if you get lost. On the other hand, if that's not enough lore for you, page 116, and you'll find a whole chapter dedicated to the agency, the Mosaic, and the history of the Veil War. And then, what to expect. As an agent of Shadow Scar, you can expect to be embarking on all sorts of adventures. Here are just a few examples of what you can expect. And they go into things like learning ninjutsu, assassinating deadly foes, foiling complicated plans, working with different factions of interest, exploring the Mosaic. Even though there's 4 worlds that are detailed, there's a backdoor of these aren't the only worlds in the Mosaic.
All right, so go nuts, GMs.
Mm-hmm. And hunting down rogue agents, known as Nukenin. And Cody was not shy about the fact that a lot of Shadowscar's origins can be traced to Naruto, and him watching
Yeah.
Naruto growing up.
Like one of those early illustrations definitely was like, oh yeah, it's Sasuke just breathing a fireball at a yokai there.
Mhm. But then we get
But I
into. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I just like that they tell us exactly what you're going to be doing in this game. You know, it's
Mhm.
nice to know what the game is built for and what you know how they're expecting it to be used.
Mhm. Now, then they go into the whole playing a role-playing game. Um, it makes sense that the GM here is called a storyteller because
Mm-hmm.
there is some vestigial DNA of a storyteller system game in this.
Mm.
If you're dealing with secret wars and the like, there's going to be a natural leaning towards that. Plus, uh,
Now,
it more or less fits this setup.
now, when you say storyteller system, I think World of Darkness. Is that what you're alluding to?
Yes, I use
Okay.
storyteller system as a catch-all because of my experience with World of Darkness, with Street Fighter. Yes, I said what I said,
Mm.
and with Exalted and a few other projects, including a fan-made Digimon game that used a heavily modified version of Werewolf the Apocalypse to do Digimon Tamers,
Okay.
as well as one another game that used Werewolf as a base but was doing Transformers Beast Wars.
Yeah, you know that's easy to see. I think
Mhm.
there's already transformations into like animals, and yeah, okay, nah, no issues. I'm cool
And
with it.
even
It
though
passes.
the Street Fighter RPG was only given a handful of support, it's still getting supported by fans, especially over in Brazil.
Mm.
Um, there's a guy, Richard Beruster, aka Bat Jutsu, who's been translating a fanzine called Warrior's Fist.
Mm. And that's like a Brazilian fanzine in Brazilian Portuguese that does like Street Fighter mods and such.
Yep.
Okay. I'll ask. You know, I've got like a pretty good network of Brazilian like TTRPG friends. I'll ask them about that. See what they know.
Honestly, there is one game out of Brazil that I would pay really, really good money to see a proper translation for.
Which one's that?
3D&T, as well as Tormenta.
Tormenta. Yep, they're you know, we were just talking off camera about bad you know, comparisons to D&D. I'm going to make it anyway. I mean, that's essentially one of the probably the most popular Brazilian made game in Brazil.
Mm-hmm. I know there was a translated quick start on Roll20 for Tormenta,
Yeah.
but that was almost 4 years ago, and I've heard nothing since. And honestly, using the other reason is I do know that 3D&T recently got a brand new edition crowdfunded, Victory.
Hmm.
And there was also a Tormenta 20 project, which looks like it's using the D20 system, but it's not a 1-to-1. So they did.
Mhm.
So they did what the Phantasy Star RPG couldn't.
Callback.
But Tormenta's been around a while, and it's hopped between multiple systems over the years. I would just like to see the most in-house version of it, as opposed to
Yes.
a 5e hack of it, or even that third edition hack of it that there was years ago. But anyway, after that, uh, they go into how to play. Now, you know the basics. Let's go over the basic rules. So, Shadowscar is using a dice pool setup. You have an attribute and skill combo that you're going to be using for checks. And you're going to be rolling d6s. Fours and higher are successes. Sixes are 2 successes. Once again, even though it's using d6 instead of d10, I keep getting callbacks to World of Darkness.
Yeah.
The number of successes, or a lot of times whenever it comes to die pool, I always called it hits because I'm not paid by the syllable.
Indeed.
That you get over the difficulty value, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail. And you also have the concept of Inyo, where if you fail a check by 1 success, you can call on the powers of Inyo, granting yourself the 1 success you need to turn a failed check into a successful one. Alternatively, you can use your connection to Inyo when you successfully strike your target to do 3 more damage. Inyo is essentially a representation of 2 great forces of nature. So if you've seen a Taiji, you know how this works. But when one side pulls, so does the other. You mark your connection to Inyo on your character sheet. As long as that connection is marked, you cannot use Inyo's powers. This is only cleared when the other half of Inyo is exerted. When at the storyteller's discretion, when you succeed at a check when an opponent strikes you with an attack, the storyteller can activate Inyo to reduce your number of successes by 1 or cause the opponent to deal 3 more damage. When that happens, you remove the Inyo mark.
Okay.
In that
All
regard,
right, so push and pull.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm somewhat reminded of mechanics where there's a resource that is not gained and lost, but shifted. I suppose one big example would be the way light and dark side points work in the FFG Star Wars trilogy. Where if you spend a light side point, the GM gets a dark side point, and vice versa.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I feel like there was something like this in. Was there something like this in the new 7th Sea? I almost feel like I'm probably thinking of something else.
Not really.
Okay.
At least not in the version that
you're right. You're right.
That reread. Obviously, there's an updated version that came out a few days ago, but I haven't read through that to see what changes were made. I doubt anything drastic has changed.
I can't remember, but I think I remember something where there's like the GM gets there's some game where the GM gets a certain number of like essentially drama dice to use, and each time the player taps a certain power, they get more. But yeah, I can't remember what that game was.
Yeah, there's been a few of those. And of course, opposed checks works the way you think they would. You can get bonuses or penalties to a check, which is just adding or subtracting more dice. And of course, they do cancel each other out and stack. As far as the rounding question, always round up. And the difficulty values are going to range from 1 to 6. And after that, we have the readout for a character sheet. I always like when we have these, because I remember not having these in Shadowrun and trying to figure out how certain parts, especially like the wound box were supposed to look like. Oh. You know,
Yeah.
the wound and stun tracker in Shadowrun.
Indeed.
But
Wounds and stuns. Yep.
mhm. But this is a pretty straightforward character sheet. Oh.
Plenty of big open boxes for writing in your notes or whatever else you got to put in there.
Yep. We do have even. I know I made a Shadowrun comparison, but unlike Shadowrun, you're not going to be rolling a massive amount of die because, as you can see, your 3 attributes cap at 5, your skills cap at 3.
So probably no more than 8 dice. Maybe there's bonuses that you can get, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you also see the 1 mark with Inyo, so you're only going to get 1 shot at that. Techniques and Mikio are going to be the main abilities that you get. Techniques can be, I guess you could consider them analogous to feats. They are tricks that you can pull.
Cool.
Mikio is the closest thing to magic, and instead of using charges or the like, because as I've mentioned before, I hate that system. We have key reserve. And then you have things like your rank. Rank is more tier than level, and each one has its own title. If you've seen Naruto, you've probably seen some. You're going to be familiar with some of the titles. Homeland is where you originate. Clan is not the clan that's your family, but rather the clan that trained you. So,
hey. I mean, I suppose they could both be the same thing, but not necessarily.
Mm-hmm. But there isn't the whole, oh, you were adopted into this kind of clan, and it's a nice way to answer the whole thing of, well, you're dealing with training from different ninja clans. So are you a part of that family, or were you adopted? No, it's a case of these are the clans that form the backbone of the training regimen of Shadowscar. And each one has a different attitude about how to do it. And they're the ones who trained you. Because I'd imagine in universe they realize the worlds are way too damn big for us to only keep our training techniques to just the immediate family. We're gonna need to branch out.
Indeed. Don't worry too much about those bloodline jutsus, folks.
Mm-hmm. But requisition points is your budget for tools between missions. Wealth is lifestyle, and is more akin to resources. And I keep bringing up World of Darkness, but that's where my mind's going to go. I personally have favored more and more having abstraction when it comes to how much money you have, rather than counting the beans.
I agree. I don't love it to do that. You know, like counting every single gold piece does not appeal to me.
Not to mention,
I would love to find a way to not do that in Skies of Fortune, but I kind of think people are gonna want to count their beans a little bit in that game.
Yeah. So we do kind of have the bean counting with disposable income. This is the amount of money you get every month. Wealth is just the tier of it. Then the secondary statistics, which is going to be things like armor, vitality, key reserve, and speed. Skills, self-explanatory. Weapons, also self-explanatory. Background, self-explanatory. Techniques and Mikio, I already mentioned. The handler ability, this is something we'll get into in a bit. This is a limited use ability you can use by contacting your agent's handler. Which the idea of handlers is something that even some spy fiction games don't get. Because
Armored Core even got there.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then quirks, which are positive and negative attributes that you can have, and your personal inventory. And after that, I'm gonna skim past it, but I like that we have a decent-sized example of how gameplay works.
Yes.
And then character. Despite the appearance on the table, this is not a game that's going to be is going to be too particular about grids.
Oh, it looks like they have hexes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but again, probably doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Dice and chips? Are they going to be chips?
Not really. You know how you'll have random ass things to be a placeholder because you don't have the exact mini for something?
Oh, sure. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're doing there. Got it.
But then when it comes to beginning the game, going into session 0, then the strike team, which is the unit, which is essentially the title of the party. Usually they're guided by an administration agent known as a handler. Handlers are not trained field agents, and their training is different from player agents. The handler is always played by the GM and remains at a Shadowscar headquarters. So your operators set up in certain games, or I'd say even to a certain extent, the way Q is used. Depending on the incarnation of James Bond.
Indeed. Person who will get you your gear.
Mm-hmm.
Your laser beam wristwatch.
And beg that you actually bring it back in one piece.
Indeed.
You never do.
But who cares about that, really? Oh, goodness.
Although, I do find it funny that in the first James Bond movie we got, there was that whole thing of the Beretta being a jam machine, which is why Bond got hurt before the film. I think that was meant as an in-joke. As far as Berettas can jam, but they're not as jam heavy as like a Thompson.
Yeah.
And it was mainly a way to introduce the Walther PPK, which is it as punchy as a Beretta? No. But it's small, which for an assassin is going to be you're not really going to you shouldn't really be worrying about how punchy something is if you're an assassin.
Yep.
Then again, the Beretta is probably one of the more divisive pistols that I know, because people either love it to death or they want it beaten to death. Also, hello bots. Bye bots. But,
goodbye.
Yeah, some people I know hate. Some people hate the thing with a passion or love it with a passion. There is no in between. But then we have the team specialty. Strike teams don't have specific designations, but they have a team specialty, usually the type of mission that they're best suited for. Which would make sense for an agency of this size. Not every mission is going to be outright conflict with them.
Indeed.
And it's also a way to tell the players, this is the kind of campaign we're doing, so plan accordingly. And the types we have are containment, securing and containing yokai threats. Oh, first response, fortification, infiltration, relocation, and warfare. I like that they put a play this kind of team if, and a few examples of what you might want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, play a first response team if you like high threat, high risk situations. You like the idea of helping and protecting people. You like adapting to chaotic situations. I don't know why, but when I see the way they describe first response teams, I keep thinking of like the ninja equivalent of a SWAT team.
Yeah, it does seem like that. It's like or sending in like a squad of like, yeah, paramedics. Maybe not paramedics, but I guess so because they are about helping people who may be injured. So.
Yeah. And it does say you train extensively in emergency response and first aid, so you wouldn't be too far off. Though
Yeah.
instead of paramedics, I'd lean more towards the fire department.
Yeah.
Especially with the understanding that things can go south.
Yeah. No, I think the obvious thing here is like facilities or like not facilities but first responders. I mean, it's first response. So you're looking at people who would identify as first responders, which would be like, police and fire department and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Let's see.
And relocation, I could easily see someone doing a Ocean's 11 style session with that direction.
Yeah. Like I think I would almost want to do like tell my party, or if I'm the storyteller, I say, oh, let's pick two of these to like sort of roll with, and so we can have a little variation, and everybody can do a little bit of the kind of things they like.
Mm-hmm. To a point, of course.
Yeah.
But then we have a thing on your team's handler where we have a table for the homeland and the worlds that they mentioned here. We will get to those in a bit, as well as what their personality might be, their motivation, their relationship with the agents, and their style.
It's nice that there aren't any like in the handler's relationship there aren't any is like they see the agents as tools. That would be probably not very much fun. Mostly we have the most reserved take they have as coworkers.
Mm-hmm. But then with handler abilities, as a group, you pick two of the handler abilities for said handler. To activate these, you have to contact your handler and ask them for aid. Each time your team rises in rank, so your rank is team-based, not individual-based. Nice. And here we see what the rank is from Genin to Chunin and Chunin to Jonin. You get one more handler ability. This means you're going to have at most 4 out of the 8 we see here.
Indeed. I think my favorite is Morally Flexible. I'm into that one. I just like the name.
It is a very a guy kind of thing. But none of them really give a combat advantage. It's more about well support. It's not far removed from the operator skills we saw in Armored Core. Then, of course, the barracks. While on duty, agents live in dormitory-style barracks in the headquarters. In an attempt to decentralize combat forces and make a mass assault more difficult, the fighting forces are split between 6 individual barracks spread throughout the headquarters. You live in one of these decentralized barracks, and in most cases, your time is noticeably different based on where you're stationed. Each is located in a different wing, which is run by a different department of the agency. This means that depending on which wing you're located in, you may encounter different people and deal with different everyday occurrences. I always like when we have headquarter building or something equivalent in RPGs.
Yeah, this is a especially nice one because it gives you, really allows you to personalize things as a team, or if you're doing it as an ST for your team.
Mm-hmm.
Got some built-in ideas for you.
Yep. They also have a variant for Vanguard Strike teams. These are ones that are entirely within their own homeland. Usually agents who are native to that world or who can act as lookouts. If you're part of a Vanguard Strike team, your barracks are located in a Shadowscar front building in one of the cities of that world. So essentially, if you want to have the idea of the cafe that doubles as your hidden base, Vanguard team is how it's done.
Cool.
Uh,
Or like, as we were talking about Ghostbusters earlier, maybe a fire station or something.
mm-hmm. Now, we also have a barracks builder option. Most agents bring amenities into the headquarters to make the bunk rooms homier. So if you'd like, as a group, you can spend 5 points on certain aesthetic options and amenities. And if you want to add more points, you can take issues that might make your stay more complicated. But I like these setup here, since there's always it allows for the option of those groups who are part of the agency but are kind of the misfits.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like what instantly comes to mind is the teaser for the game that would eventually become Fuse, at the time known as Overstrike. You're part of an elite organization, but everybody looks at you funny because you're the troublemakers. But
these issues have, they're not all like, bad things either. The negative point ones are the ones that you want. And I could see them, some of them have no mechanical benefits, some seem to. It's just enough to make it to personalize, right?
Yep.
And to maybe give you a little buddy who will help you, or like, a video game setup.
Yep.
There we go.
Then they go into your first mission. Which I always like mission generators in these kind of games, and a game like Shadowscar is going to need a mission generator, but this setup is more of, it's operating under the assumption that you've already taken at least one mission, maybe several, by the time you do session 1. This is more a way to go into how the first mission turned out.
Yeah.
It's not something that has to be played proper if you want to go en medias res. So you can roll the world it took place in, what the goal was, where the mission took place, what the opposition was, what complication happened, because there's always a complication, and the outcome. Which I like that the mission is not a... There's no failure with the first mission. It's more of it's more of degrees of success.
Yep. You all nearly died, but you succeeded.
And suddenly I'm reminded of the success rate, quote unquote, of the Death Corps of Krieg. Mission succeeded.
You're gonna have to explain that one to me, I think.
So the Death Corps of Krieg is a regiment of the Imperial Guard in 40K.
Okay.
And the appearance-wise, they tend to look like trench soldiers. Just in the distant future. And for varying reasons, they believe the highest honor is to die fighting for the Emperor. So
I see.
despite them being very, very skilled soldiers, they tend to have a high casualty rate and also tend to be very ill-omened. I.e., if a Kriegsman is around, then things are probably going to go south, and you're probably going to be conscripted to die in a suicide attack.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So just hope they don't show up.
yeah. Then again, if the Imperial Guard is on a planet and they don't have a base there, things are probably going to go south anyways.
Yeah, very true. Just like, hope to have them not around it at all ever.
Mm-hmm. But then you have a prompt questionnaire about the first mission, where you roll on the prompt table and answer one of the 2 prompts that you get. This kind of thing is a nice way to help build the team for a session 0, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the session 0 ends up being you all meet at a tavern. And I like that more and more games are trying to go out of their way to not do that. Like you've heard, tell me if you've heard this one before. You're in a tavern, you've known each other for years, and somebody walks up to you.
Wow, that's completely novel. I love that, and I will play in your D&D game.
And
He said with a flat affect and a heaping pile of sarcasm.
oh yeah. And like I think the last time that I used the tavern thing, it was you guys were in a you guys were in a fight. I sometimes try to do en medias res. When it comes to that opening session, usually with some kind of briefing, and then all of a sudden, and now you guys are in drop pods. Bon chance.
Yep, trial by fire. Get to know everybody on the mission.
Yeah. This is also why I have a appreciation for the bombing mission in Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, true.
Because it's going right into it where you have to piece things together as things are going.
Yeah.
But then we get into making individual agents. And the components are going to be homeland, where you hail from, your life path. This is an Artosaurian Games project after all, so of course we've got life path. Your stats, skills, any quirks, since every agent is interesting. The clan you joined, as well as your starting gear, which you have 15 points to buy gear and can do so in the armory. And throughout this chapter, they'll be going through making the agent Atsuko. But I also like that we have this this thing about expanding the mosaic thing. Wait, if this is a multi-dimensional game, why can I only play agents from 4 dimensions? When building Shadowscar, the goal is to present a multiverse that could be expanded on over time. Rather than print an 800-page tome with 15-page chapters on 17 different worlds, or printing a moderately sized book with 2-page entries on 17 worlds, we've decided to focus heavily on the core 4 worlds at first. This allows us to present the worlds with the depth they deserve and leaves the door open to bring new worlds as the game develops. But they do provide a framework at the bottom here for how to build the stat modifiers if you want to create your own worlds. Some statistic ability, a minor increase to a secondary statistic, a skill ability, ignoring ones on a certain skill or set a minimum success rate, a condition ability, make your character immune to a minor condition, or a special ability, some unique way they can interact with a existing rule that gives them a slight edge. And
Cool.
each homeland has 3 abilities. And let me... And of the 3, you get to pick one of them. So the first one we have is Nakatsu Kuni, which, you know, is very much feudal Japan.
Yep. Huge cherry blossom tree.
Mm-hmm. For the longest time, there were only 3 cultures within it: the Chrysanthemum Empire of Nihon, the Kingdom of Ryukyu, and the Ainu people. Ryukyu was the old name for what's now known as Okinawa. But
all right, so they're giving us some, you know, they're giving some agency to the other, you know, the other non sort of Japanese cultures that have existed on the archipelago.
Well, Ryukyu and Ainu are Japanese. Just it is a case of yes and no. And there was that whole thing of Ryukyu being used as a as a penal island,
right.
Much...
I recall that specifically from Samurai Champloo. That's where Mugen was from.
Mm-hmm. And the Ainu are more native to the archipelago, and specifically the northern end of things. There is a complicated relationship where they kind of have their own culture up there, and sometimes it's intersected with Russia.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that bit of it. I know I've seen Ainu occasionally in anime, like in Shaman King and in, of course, Golden Kamuy, where the main heroine is Ainu.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and I think in Okami, let's refer back to that again.
Yeah. But the abilities you get from Nakatsu Kuni are folk tales. Whenever you're required to make a knowledge check to learn information about yokai, you automatically succeed. Poltergeist. When in the spirit world, you can interact with things as if you're in the material world, but you spend 1 key point per action. And Spirit Sight. By taking an action, you can perceive the spirit world overlaid over your vision for 10 minutes. But if you do this, you take a -1 penalty to awareness checks in the material world. Then we have the Steel Court, which is very...
Would you like the gorilla or the octopus better?
Probably the gorilla. The octopus is probably too big.
Yeah. I kind of like the gorilla too. Maybe I'm just partial to apes. Who knows? Being an ape, I guess I'm more partial to apes. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah. But it is described as a bustling world at the brink of World War. Focused on the Victorian Empire, a sprawling mechanized empire that is always putting pressure on its neighbors' borders and uses the lower class to stoke the fires of industry. Despite this, Steel Court is a realm of wonders, with fantastical inventions being patented every day, and awe-inspiring works of art and culture blossoming across the world.
All right, for all you steampunk fans.
Mm-hmm. The potential abilities are Gearheart, where you can inspect a machine to learn something useful about the last person who interacted with the machine or what they did with it. Judge and Jury. You can always ask the storyteller how a character you know would likely respond to a particular situation, proposition, or event and receive a helpful response. And Viper's Smile. While trying to conceal your emotions or intentions from someone, you can choose to take 5 successes rather than rolling performance.
Mm.
And then we have Fifth Street, a fast-paced world considered frenetic compared to other worlds. It spans the U.S. that is currently recovering from the war to end all wars. Tensions between races, creeds, and classes are high, and moral panic has caused the prohibition of alcohol, leading to the rise of smuggling rings and organized crime. In many ways, it shares more in common with a pulp fiction novel or a noir film than the quote-unquote real world.
Okay. So you can be a G-man or a gangster.
Or, since they talked about a pulp fiction novel,
a detective.
What evil lurks within the hearts of men?
Hey, there you go.
But Homeland abilities are background characters, where you're never the first target of hostility. Lady Luck, where you get a pool of 3 tokens. When you make a skill check, you can use 1 to get a +1 bonus to the check before or after the roll. Which I think you can, based on the way it's described, I think you can only use 1 per check, so it is more of a... Wait, no, I didn't fail. I didn't use 1 to turn what would have been a failure by a nose into a success.
Yeah.
And narrative clues, if you fail an analyze action or an awareness or knowledge check, you can still get a minor clue or detail about the topic determined by the environment. Then we have Refuge. Was a modern world when it was hit by a typhoon of chaos as thousands of displaced yokai landed. The only survivors of the invasion were the citizens of the Selene Project, a few million people living in space stations orbiting the newly constructed lunar colony of Selene. These pioneers lost contact with Earth decades ago and still have no idea what destroyed their planet. Now the remaining humans are left divided. Some want to return to Earth and discover the truth, others want to set sail into space and find a new home. Your life in Refuge revolves around survival and decompression. You probably live in one of the vast station habitats, in a small apartment, and work a mundane job during the day, but when the station's night cycle activates, you let loose, visiting flashy theaters and virtual arcades, and spectating spaceship races.
Okay. So we're just we got some pretty good alternate universes from which we can draw our characters. I'm into it. Mostly based off of actual, like, easily recognizable time periods or genres.
And Refuge, I'd say is a mixture of of any of the space colonies you might see in Gundam, mixed with a little bit of Homeworld and Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, we definitely get a bit of Galactica in there with the whole having fled from your home.
I'd say in particular the Ron Moore Galactica instead of the one from the 80s, which I like the original Battlestar Galactica, but I'm also a huge fan of Ronald Moore and his writing. So I know which one I'm going to lean towards.
He did so much of the Klingon stuff in TNG, that we may remember so fondly.
He also did a lot in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
And
give me that sweet continuity, Deep Space Nine.
He was very vocal about his frustrations working on Star Trek. Namely, that he didn't like the fact that he felt the sameness in his mind of a lot of the seasons. Like every one of them had to start with a captain and a chair. And if you look at Deep Space Nine, you can kind of see him straining against that tradition attitude.
Yeah, as well he should have. DS9 easily my favorite Trek, and just because do it did not operate in the same way that the two previous series had. Maybe three. There was animated series too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's it's in that same vein as why I've said, as blasphemous as this may sound to some, TNG got better when Roddenberry got kicked.
Yeah.
Because I have gone back and seen the first two seasons, and a lot of the stories in that were, well, one of them is one of them I consider the worst of the whole series, and that is Code of Honor. Which,
Yeah.
if Code of Honor was done in the 60s, it would perfectly fit, but doing so in the 90s, it feels so out of place.
Mm-hmm.
But and then we get to the life path. Again, this is a R. Talsorian game, so of course we have a life path.
Okay.
This is where you're determining some of the aspects of their background. And it is on tables. You are making 15 rolls. The first roll is where in your homeland you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Second is family, both parents and siblings. Then then rolling for your family relationship, the status of your family, the environment, whether it be general, traveling, or one of the world-focused environments.
Hmm.
Your greatest influence, your introduction to the Veil world, whether it be the Katsukuni or the other worlds that have been infected by yokai.
Mm-hmm.
And then important life events. You roll one die, and depending on the result, you pick a specific table. 1 is profession events, 2 is tragic events, 3 is relationship events, 4 is achievement events, 5 is criminal events, and 6 is supernatural events. And then roll on that particular table. If you want to add a little more excitement, you can do this 2 or 3 more times.
Okay, live a full life already. Honestly, I don't think you need more than one, but okay.
It is a simplified life path compared to what you might see in Cyberpunk or Mechton, but
yeah,
it works for this setup. There's enough to get the idea. Then we have choosing your primary statistics. Each one has a value between 1 and 3. 1 is untrained, 2 is trained, 3 is skilled. The 3 main stats you have are mind, body, and spirit. I do like that spirit is not just the magic stat. It certainly can be used for that, but it has other uses as well.
Seems like spirit we're talking about more like, a person with spirit has charisma and they are not easily broken, they're the spirit in as like Naruto would have spirit, the shonen protagonist.
Yeah. And force of personality. You know how there's you probably encountered this at least once. How some folk look at charisma in, say, D&D and conflate it with physical appearance.
Yeah.
That's not to say it can't play a factor, but but I remember in I think it was the I want to say first or second edition DM's guide, or one of them, because there's like 5 different first editions. Uh, had brought up Napoleon Bonaparte as an example of somebody who was charismatic but not exactly high in the attractiveness scale.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
mm-mm. But you also have your secondary statistics. These are not used when you make checks, but for certain capabilities and resources. These are key reserve. So for those who are more D20 minded, think of spell points, and you're not far off. Speed is how much you can move for movement and dash actions. Wealth is how much money you've got, and vitality is your HP.
Mm.
So when you're doing your primary statistics, one is at 3, one's at 2, one's at 1. Your secondary statistics are preset. Your key reserve is always 3. Your speed is 30 feet. Your wealth is 2. Your vitality is 10.
Okay.
I think it's a smart move to have secondary statistics predetermined, because you sidestep the problem of certain stats being overly favored. The God stat, as I
Indeed.
called it. If I were to
And
use
you might be able to... Go ahead.
if I were to use an example in D&D, dexterity.
And I do wonder if there's ways later on, like, I don't know if they have like an advantages disadvantages system that will like, or other ways that those will be affected going forward, or if they just all roll downhill from here. But I guess we'll find out.
But then you have skills. There are a total of 6 skills that are associated with the 3 primary statistics. And the skills range from 0, no unskilled, to 1, 2, or 3, trained, skilled, or master. You pick 5 skills at 2, and then 7 skills at 1.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like plenty of skills to keep you busy to start with.
But then you have quirks.
Okay, this is where I was thinking. Yeah, okay, determining advantages and disadvantages. This is what I was thinking of.
You can pick up to 2 advantages, but for each one you pick a disadvantage as well. However, I don't think the min-max problem is going to be present here. Mostly because there aren't each skill, not each skill, but each advantage has something that there were in some games that have advantages and disadvantages. Sometimes there's ones that you take in order to get advantages because the drawback isn't that damaging.
Right.
Here, I don't think that's the case when it comes to the disadvantages. Especially given the small die pool, a -1 penalty is going to be significant. And depending on your setup, some of these you might want to take in general.
Yeah, reading a few that seem very, very useful, and some that seem pretty awful.
Yep.
Kleptomaniac. Resistance check to avoid stealing. Can make your party members very angry with you very quickly.
Yeah. I immediately think of the Kender in Dragonlance. You know who I'm talking about.
I do. I do.
But
he who shall not be named.
But then we get to Shinobi clans. This is where you your training at a shinobi clan is where you made the transition between being a civilian to being an agent. Each of the clans has its own set of techniques, as well as Mikyo. These techniques are guarded secrets by the clans, and you can only learn them from that clan. So you can pick any four techniques or Mikyo from either your clan's list or the general techniques list. General techniques are, like I said, I called them feats because a lot of techniques are going to be passive.
Mm-hmm.
Some are going to be active. You actually have to take an action for them, but you're not going to be using ki for your techniques. You're going to be using ki for things like Mikyo or supernatural effects.
Yeah.
But the general techniques are ones that any shinobi can get. And then each of the clans have their own list. First, we have the Arashi clan. I like that we have a creed and goal for each of them. And the techniques and Mikyo for each. And you can kind of see
Go ahead.
The Mikyo are meant to be a different tool that you can use, but you're not going to see some equivalent to a big ass fireball.
Oh, you mean like a D&D fireball? Yeah, no. They seem to be the Arashi seem to be focused on wind as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
And the techniques look like, just from the ones I'm seeing here, not necessarily always to do with combat.
Mm-hmm.
We got or maybe they are. Maybe I read that wrong. When you take the threatened social radiating menace, when you take the threatened social action, you can target multiple characters. Okay, so that's like a social one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we weak point politics have to do with insight checks. There we go. Okay.
Yep.
Acceptance, family, ruthlessness. They seem pretty a little bit criminal. I don't hate it though.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Though each of the clans was founded by one of the Daitengu, which were yokai that were able to break free from Yomi's control. And yeah, the Arashi clan is described as a bit of dirty pool, because it says Ajari of Mount Aso sought out the most dangerous and underhanded shinobi he could find. He knew that the others might lack these skills to deal with dirty fighting and cowardly tactics, and they would need someone who could play just as dirty as Izanami's yokai.
Yep.
And
we have ruthlessness as part of our creed.
Mm-hmm. The Arashi clan very much remind me of the Scorpion clan in L5R.
Yeah,
they are loyal,
agreed.
But they are not above playing dirty. In fact, they're good at it, and they know it.
Loyalty is their honor.
Oh,
please, yeah.
Well, that's kind of been their thing. They are the people who are willing to play the role of villain as a tactic. They know they are not trusted by people, and they use that to their advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The mythology about them is one that they have carefully constructed.
Indeed.
But then we have the Futsumashi clan, whose creed is balance, morality, and restraint.
All right, so a little goody two-shoes there. I don't know if I love it, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. They believe in balance in all things, so their founding Daitengu, Rikubo, sought out shinobi who had put aside their blades in favor of peace and those who only wanted to bring balance back to Nakatsukuni. they train in a modest castle called the Painted World. And I don't know why, but the vibe I get is not far removed from Jedi.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Especially
spiritual armament, God's right eye, God's left eye.
Mhm.
A little paladin-y here.
A little bit, and also a little of Paladin and a bit of Justicar, especially with things like Spirit Shackles.
Yeah.
But then we have the Hibana clan. Their creed is ambition, progress, and tradition, and having the goal of regaining the lost glory of the shinobi. But the idea is trying to that its founding Daitengu wanted was trying to get the most skilled of the skilled. But they are one that's on the downside of greatness because they were highly valued, but during the 100 Years of Sorrow, there was the shift towards dealing with more supernatural foes than human foes.
I see. So they fell into disfavor.
Mm-hmm. But you want to burn things? These are your guys.
Yep.
Like we have the fire breath. We also have throwing acid.
Okay.
Or messing around with smoke, getting a wall in the way. I'd say the Hibanas are the most classical shinobi. Then we have the Kuromaku clan, whose creed is duty, order, and respect. They are the youngest clan, as they're the only one that doesn't have an ancient heritage. They were not founded by a Daitengu, but by a shinobi, Adenir al-Hasim.
Okay. Oh, so they're like the tech shinobi, I think.
Yeah. The tech shinobi, and because of that, the most willing to utilize modern techniques in order to deal with yokai. Which I think leads to them having a complicated relationship with the other clans.
Yes.
But I do like that with each of the clans, in the last few months of your training, you're expected to go on a pilgrimage. But then we have the Tante clan, who...
Oh, wow. I like their goal, though. That's ambitious.
Yep.
Free the yokai from Yomi's control.
Pretty much. And yokai have special masks that they use to disguise themselves, the commons, in order to give themselves a human disguise, though who makes it is... I'll get to that later. But like, one of their techniques is that if they have a common of a yokai, they can put it on to use the same disguise that yokai had. But then we have the Wanami clan, who their approach is akin to the only good bug is a dead bug. Like their goal is kill all yokai.
All right, so they probably don't get along with the Tante clan too well.
Uh, a lot of their founding shinobi were people who got screwed over during the 100 Years of Sorrow. Like the Daitengu lost his whole family due to and his servants due to the yokai.
They got a grudge. They're out for revenge.
Mm-hmm. And I do like that they have a lot of weaponized plants.
Mm-hmm. Got a little bit of a third Hokage thing going on here. Or was it fifth? I can't remember. Whichever one Sarutobi was.
Sarutobi was the third. If you're talking about the whole plants, that was the first.
Oh, that was the first. Okay, yeah. That's right. That's who it was.
Sarutobi's big thing was, aside from having a pact with the Monkey King, just having a wide variety of techniques at his disposal, which gave him the nickname the Professor.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
But let me make sure. I wanted to make sure we're not going too far in. So the equipment thing, we'll end up covering that next week. But so far, what do you think of what we're seeing with the introduction of Shadowscar and the character creation?
I like how it introduces this world and how it attempts to integrate the players into it pretty quickly. You know, I feel like I've got a very good sense of what this multiverse contains just from spending, the little bit of time skimming the material as we did. I think that's really good. It seems like it's got a simple system, easy to get into. Seems like a game that you can dive into and get to playing probably like within, assuming you have a few books to go around, just a few hours. Those are the advantages. And plus, the rule of cool is obviously in effect here. We've got multiversal shinobis fighting yokai. Weebs are going to go nuts for that. Yeah, I don't see many downsides here. How about you?
I think the only part that there might be some obstacle is the fact that with each of the clans, they are multi-purpose enough where you can't outright say this is the one thing that clan is doing. It isn't like, say, character classes where you can look at a certain mage and say they're going to do this one thing and that's their focus.
Yes. So are you thinking that is both an upside, a downside, or a little bit of both?
It's your mileage may vary, I think.
Okay.
And I'd say the only character creation, I think you could probably build the starting character out of this in less than 20 minutes. I think the only thing that you might stumble on early, and I say stumble on like very early on, is maybe equipment. Though since we're dealing with a point system instead of the usual money approach, it's not going to be as bad as it could be. You've got 15 points to spend on equipment, and I think this is one of those things where I'm gonna hold off on until we get to Armory, because if there's like equipment packages, that's going to make it even easier.
Hmm.
But I think this is also why it was a smart move to do the whole strike team specialization, because if you have that, then you're going to have some understanding of what equipment might suit you. Like if you're dealing with an infiltration campaign, you probably don't want to try and grab every weapon you can get your hands on.
No.
Uh,
Definitely not, and also probably will help you choose your techniques in Mikyo while you're at it.
yeah, and I think that's why we don't have in some games you have certain clans or archetypes or the like that clearly favor combat more than others. For example, you're not going to be doing, if you're in L5R, if you're doing social encounters, it's probably not a good idea to have somebody from the Crab or Lion Clan around.
Yeah, true that.
You know, the clans that are so anti-subtlety, they suck out the subtlety around them.
Yeah.
I
like my Crab boys. I played a Crab Samurai in a game once. Enjoyable character.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and don't get me wrong. I like the Crab as much as the next guy. I've said that they do what the Night's Watch in Game of Thrones is trying to do. They've just been doing it better and for longer.
Yep. But let's be real. There's a lot more going on out on the other side of their wall than there was at the beginning of Game of Thrones.
I just find it funny that it's a big disaster if the wall gets broken through in Westeros, whereas the Crab Clan, if the Caillou wall gets broken, they're like, oh no. Anyway, and then they build it bigger. They've done that like 3 times. That and the whole thing of everyone acts like they're assholes, but they could just say, "Oh, you think we're assholes? Well, we could just not protect the wall."
Yeah.
And of course, there's the whole thing of I think in one of my campaigns, a lion tried to challenge a crab to a duel, but he forgot to mention that whether or not the duel was first blood or to the death. And well, what do you think's going to happen when you have Katana versus Tetsubo?
Yeah. Better make that draw cut count, kid.
And only because he couldn't challenge the Scorpion, because the Scorpion would probably be like, "You realize I poisoned you about 3 hours ago, right?"
If you're nice to me, maybe I'll give you the antidote. Anyway,
but this is a on the crunch side of things, at least on the player facing side, this is going to be on the lighter end, which does mean that mechanics wise, I think this is going to be one that's a little bit backloaded. Where the bigger complicated part of the mechanics, even for a game as simple as this, is going to be in some of the back end things. I do remember when we covered the quick start
storyteller
that they had a lot more emphasis on their stealth system, which makes sense for a game where you're playing as ninjas.
Indeed.
But when we come back next week, we will be looking at the way advancement works as well as the armory. The thing in a lot of games that I like to call the toy box.
Yes.
And there will be some very unique equipment in this. Some of it you'll expect, but a lot of them, well, I wasn't too far off with the James Bond joke I made earlier. There's even stuff about trapping spirits. So
Yeah.
it's like poetry, it rhymes. But with that said, that is going to do it for this particular episode. We will be back here next week. And of course, I will be back here tomorrow with more of Augusta Universalis, or Pax Romana in space.
Woot.
But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.